Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the One Team in Ayrshire podcast. We're a week closer to the start of the season now, and plenty more to talk about. Some new signings in, some pre-season fixtures announced, and some new kits announced as well. So plenty to look forward to. Myself and Kieran Calderwood, who's joining me today, Andrew Milligan on holiday. So well done to him for being away in the sun. But Kieran, glad to have you on again, and lots to talk about.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. And yeah, Andrew's sunning it up this week, so it's just us two dealing with all the Killie news.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of it, certainly, and we'll kick straight into it with the signings since the last podcast. There's been a couple more rumoured, so we'll talk through all that. The main one, or the first one that came in, was the news Alan Power is back at Rugby Park for another year, coming back from what was a fairly mediocre stint at St Mirren, if we're going to be honest. And you have to say his return was met with a bit of scepticism, to say the least, by Kilmarnock fans. A bit of a hot and cold reaction, you'd have to say. Kieran, are you happy with him coming back, or is it a case of we needed to really look for fresh players, fresh faces, and not sort of return to past glories, if you will?
Well, it's that way that you use the perfect description and say hot and cold. Even my opinion on it is hot and cold, and I'm just one person. In some respects towards him, like, I'm glad he's back. Obviously, I loved him when he was here. He was a great player for Kilmarnock, great player for Steve Clarke. Didn't fit in very well at St Mirren, as you said. Very average season, probably below average, especially for Alan Power standards. Because he wasn't the most glamorous player, but under Steve Clarke at Rugby Park, he put in a shift week in and week out. And you didn't really see that much from him at St Mirren. But now that he's back again under a manager like Derek McInnes, who is not an exact replica of Steve Clarke, but he does have some similar qualities. He likes a player that can get stuck in about things, like a good gritty challenge in there. So I feel like in that respect, he might do decent back under Derek McInnes. I think he's that kind of player that Derek likes. Just someone, as I said, who can get things done, doesn't really ask too many questions, just goes in and headbutts somebody here or there. But at the same time, I agree with you. We definitely need some new blood, especially in that midfield, because there was a bit of an exodus with some of the players, and just the players that remain as well. I don't know if they're up to Premiership quality, and it's going to be a bit of an odd one as far as the midfield is concerned, especially the defensive midfield.
Yeah, I think the midfield was a bit of an issue last year, wasn't it? In terms of there wasn't really much fight in there. There was no real grit, and that's certainly something that Alan Powers is going to bring, if nothing else. Whether he's still up to Premiership quality, we'll have to wait and see. But certainly give him the benefit of the doubt anyway, give him the support. But I'm sure, with how some of the fans reacted to him coming back, if he's not performing at the level that he should be or that he was, then I'm sure the fans will let him know, to say the least. Moving on to two more extensions. Kyle Lafferty, fantastically signed on for another year till summer of 2023. And the other one, Rory McKenzie, signed on till the summer of 2024. So a 2-year contract extension for Rory McKenzie. Kieran, both of them vitally important. Lafferty, obviously, in terms of the goals that he brings. We're thankful we didn't get a repeat of what happened last summer when the rumours were that he asked for too much money and he was told to take a hike, basically. So, him back in the Premiership, that's where he did his best work for us last time. And hopefully he does again. 21 goals in 28 is nothing to be sniffed at in a Kilmarnock shirt. And Rory McKenzie as well. Fantastic to get his future tied down for another couple of years, because he really was the main man in the Championship, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. The pair of them, as you said, very and just unreplaceable to an extent. Just the qualities they bring out with the football. Just Kyle Lafferty, the presence of him to be there. I'm not sure what our striker situation is looking like. I know Ollie Shaw's still around. I think I've seen Innes Cameron's back in amongst the squad. So just having a veteran like that, internationally proven, up here in Scotland, down in England for a bit as well, just can score as many goals as he can. He's just, as you said, 21 goals. Although it's for Kilmarnock and some of them were in the Championship as well, it's still, you have to be there to score the goals. And Kyle Lafferty knows how to score goals. And Rory McKenzie, I think we've used all the words we can to describe him, to be honest. Just a legend at Rugby Park. And I think a lot of people will be smiling to see him sticking around till 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see Kamara getting the deals done early. These extensions getting players tied down, because in the past it's not always been like that, and sometimes we have been sort of waiting until the last few weeks, the last month or so of the transfer window for these kinds of things. So, good to see that the club are taking their initiative there, and also bringing in their first sort of new signing quite early in the window as well. Kerr McInroy coming in from Celtic on a 2-year deal, came through the Celtic youth. He was captain of the youth side for a spell, had loan spells at Ayrshire and at Ayr as well last season, which is kind of really caught the eye, to be honest, for Kilmarnock fans, and obviously for Derek McInnes and Billy Bowie as well. Someone that forgiven the Ayr connection there, Kilmarnock fans seem really excited about. A really good midfielder, good on the ball, and someone who seems quite a prospect, to be honest, by Celtic fans when he was there. A young Scott Brown, I saw him likened to a couple of times. So seems like Kieran Kilmarnock have got their hands on quite a gem there.
Yeah, I was quite surprised to see him, in all honesty, because although personally I didn't see too much of him last season, I also played for Ayr. I didn't really pay too much attention to their games. But yeah, it kind of stunned me a wee bit because, as you said, he does come with quite a big bit of like kind of confidence and ego behind him. He had a couple rough injuries which kind of spoiled his time at Celtic, but he's still a really, really good player, and he seems to be getting back to like the best, or what was seen to be his best before the injury. And I'm quite excited to see what he can do, because we were talking about the midfield needing some new blood injected into it, and I think he's going to have quite a good season for Kilmarnock. Hopefully, I haven't just completely jinxed him there, but just I don't know. He seems like he's got something to prove, and he wants to, be that kind of player to make a name for himself at Kilmarnock and try and bounce his way back up to Celtic or something to that kind of standard. Just one of the top teams in Scotland. But yeah, I feel quite happy to have him. Of course, more midfielders can't really hurt. We seem to go through them quite quickly, so very happy to see him sign.
Yeah, fantastic. So those are the four signings so far, or re-signings, if you will, and that we've had confirmed. Now we go on to the rumours. And there's a couple outstanding, three outstanding that there are sort of big ones, if you will, the ones that have got the most sort of pull towards them. Jordan Jones is one. That was quite hot on Twitter the last week or so, the middle of last week. Kind of died down a wee bit over the weekend. Not quite sure what's happening with that one, but it was rumoured he was coming back. And Derek McInnes was quite keen on him. I don't think that was particularly a secret, even when he was Aberdeen manager. I think Derek McInnes was quite keen on Jordan Jones. Tommy Adeloye, another former Ayr player, a striker that we're looking at there. And the final one, which seems to be the most concrete one, and perhaps could even be announced tonight or tomorrow, is the return of Zach Hemming. Seems like he never really left, to be honest, but I think that would be, to be honest, the signing of the summer. If we could manage to get that done. The rumours are strong, stronger than any rumours I've ever seen in terms of Kilmarnock before. It's almost seems to be a certainty that it's going to happen. Kieran, which one of those? I think I know your answer anyway. But which one of those are you most excited about? And with Zach Hemming, obviously, what do you make of the Jones rumours and Adeloye as well from here?
Obviously, the answer is Zach Hemming. Want to see him back the most in the Kilmarnock colours. Fantastic goalkeeper. We've had our hearts broken before by lone goalkeepers, so I'll remain thinking negatively that he's not coming until the good news hits. But as far as Jordan Jones and Adeola go, I would say I'm quite comfortable with both of them, to be honest. Adeola, good wee striker. It doesn't, we need a few more, because as good as Kyle Lafferty is, he's getting up there a little bit in age. The Premiership, we've seen it last season with how close it was. And some of the positions that some teams were finishing in, just the whole league was upside down. Everyone could beat anyone, apart from out of the Old Firm, of course. They were in a league of their own, having fun at the top two spots, but everyone else was fighting for every single point. So Kyle Lafferty might have a little bit of a struggle next season, so it'd be good to have someone like Adeola up there, just an extra option, a different kind of style of play to Kyle Lafferty. Obviously, we've got Ollie Shaw, but we've seen from him in the Championship last season that he might not be too dependable when it comes to finishing. He can do everything else. He can run, he can pass quite decently. Most of his strength is in his pace, I would say. And obviously, Ennis Cameron's in there. Never really been given a fair shot. I feel like Kilmarnock just always ditched off to some championship club on loan. But yeah, Adeoye, I can never pronounce that name, to be honest. You know who I mean. I think he would be a good addition to the strike force. And as far as Jordan Jones is concerned as well, I wouldn't be too bitter to see him come back. He was a great wee player for us. Obviously, didn't reach the heights that was predicted of him when he joined Steven Gerrard at Rangers. I think he only had, like, probably counting the amount of games he had on one hand, even if got himself sent off and injured in the same move, and then just was never really seen of again. Went down to Sunderland. I think he scored a worldie down there. Came back up to St Mirren, to the Killie retirement club, essentially. And so yeah, I would happily have him back, because we've got Fraser Murray, who I think is going to have a pretty good season. Rory McKenzie, we've discovered, can play centrally, which was a bit of a surprise, I think, to most people, because obviously he's been such a wide man for so many years. So I think a midfield of McKenzie with Jones and Fraser Murray, that sounds quite nice to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly two interesting rumours, isn't it? I mean, the Adeloy one would be pretty good. I think it's. I don't think we've done this enough as a club. Is dip into the lower leagues, look for the top talent, and try and bring them up, and take a chance on these young guys who you know are lighting up the lower leagues, and give them a go in the Premiership. Obviously, we were down there last season, but now we're a Premiership club again. We can afford to take that kind of risk. So I think he'd be a good, you know, as you say, backup to the likes of Lafferty and Shaw. And then the Jordan Jones one, very much like the Alan Power one, is a bit hot and cold as well. I think the way that he left, the terms that he left on, were bad. Obviously, I think we all know that. But I think most Kilmarnock fans would welcome him back. But I think he would need to be given 110% from the off. He'd need to be straight at it from the off, contributing to the team, goals, assists. Otherwise, I think the fans will get on his back very quickly, and that sort of bad feeling will return, and he could be in for some trouble. So overall, three pretty good rumours. We'll have to see which one of them come true, but hopefully all of them, and we'll keep adding to the squad. And there's sure to be many more for the next 2 months while the transfer window is still open. So on to the next part of the show. The pre-season fixtures were announced the other day. 5 games we've got. Only 2 of them we're able to go to as fans, but the 5 games, we get Queen of the South at home tomorrow. That's a game behind closed doors. We've got the Falkirk game at the weekend, which is the to celebrate as a mixture of Falkirk renaming a stand after one of their players, and a sort of anniversary of the cup final game there. And then the team will head off to La Manga in Spain for 2 friendlies against Lincoln Red Imps and Charlton, and then we're back away to Dunfermline, and what should be an open doors game. There should be tickets available for that, so that should be the final game before the League Cup fixtures start. Kieran, obviously a bit of a mixed bunch there, so lower league teams, Falkirk, Queen of the South, Dunfermline, and then some reasonably good teams. Lincoln Red Imps has obviously been in kind of European competition for quite a long time, the past couple of years. They beat Celtic a few years ago, if I remember correctly, and Charlton as well, a reasonably big team down in England. So a good mix there. Jenko will give the team a good test ahead of the new season.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. As you were saying, I was thinking there in my head. I'm quite sure that the Lincoln Red Imps did have a good performance. I couldn't remember if it was Celtic or if it was someone else, but you saying Celtic there made me remember that it was. So yeah, definitely a lot of teams there that, not a lot, but obviously there's only 5, but a few teams in there that could definitely cause some trouble. Of course, you emphasised on Charlton, a big club from England, hit a couple of rough times in the last few seasons, but still very much a pretty solid team. It's considering the comparisons to Kilmarnock as well. Obviously, the English league's quality is a bit higher than ours. Even though they're not in the Premiership of England, they're still a good outfit. Queen of the South, I think that would be quite a good game for Kilmarnock. It would probably, you want a nice balance in your pre-season, I feel, of games that will test you, that you're not guaranteed to win, but also like a couple of little confident boosters. Obviously, I'm not saying any game's free, but from our previous encounters in Championship of Queen of the South, I'm pretty sure our last games were, was it a 3-1 victory and a 4-0 victory, I think, something like that. Against Queen of the South, so that'll be a good kind of confidence booster for the team. Hopefully, assuming there's no upsets in that one. But yeah, a lot of good opportunities there. And from seeing the pictures throughout the week of Derek McInnes and the players being at is it Inverclyde they're at right now, is it I think it's Inverclyde. Everything's just looking really professional, really slick. It gave me quite a good feeling listening to Derek McInnes just talking openly about his plans. He seemed very focused, and it just gave me quite a confidence boost just listening to him, because it seemed like he had a directive, he had a plan. Obviously, he has to have a plan as a manager, but it was just an added bit of confidence into this season, because of course it's I feel like I speak for a lot of Killie fans when I say we're heading into a season that's quite an unknown season because of the kind of volatile nature of the league now, with everyone out with the Old Firm being quite close, and Kilmarnock just coming up from relegation, where all of our players might not be quite Premiership quality yet. So it's going to be kind of fighting, churning for every point that we can. It was nice to hear him kind of breed a little bit of like kind of confidence in the camp. So hopefully it's not all words and there's a little bit of meat behind it. But we'll see with these next 5 games, which I think starts tomorrow. I think you said.
Yeah, I think, as you say, I don't think it can be underestimated how important it is who you play in pre-season. As you're saying, you have to get a mix of tough challenges, but also winnable games to build confidence. So it's interesting, I think, that the club have chosen to play 2 championship teams, 1 League One team. They've not chosen to play a friendly against a Premiership team, which does happen reasonably often between 2 teams, maybe behind closed doors. But I just wonder whether the club have included those sort of lower league teams to build the confidence. Hopefully get some decent wins against them, and Derek McInnes can say to the players, "Look, this is where you've come from. You've made a step up now since you became champions last season, and you're now a Premiership club. You should be beating these clubs reasonably well." So that's obviously saying that the results go our way. And then obviously you got the harder games, Lincoln Red Imps, Charlton, which will be good tests, I'm sure. And if we can get a result in one or both of those, then I'm sure that'll build confidence as well. But I think interesting to see that they didn't choose to play any Premiership teams, because the issue with that is if you go and lose that game or lose games if you play friendlies against Premiership teams, then the players suddenly start to think, and the fans as well suddenly start to think, is this what it's going to be like during the season? Are we going to see a repeat of this? Are we actually going to have a bad season? So it can all go very wrong in terms of the mentality there as well. So I think a good mix of games there. And then obviously the League Cup games coming up just after that, where we've got a good mix throughout the leagues as well. Obviously the highest seeded team in our group, so we should be progressing from that. But we will come on to that for another podcast. But the final part for tonight, Killie strips. So we've had all 3 of this season's strips announced now: the home, the away, and the third kit. Home kit, a bit of a changed look on the usual, the sort of blue and white stripes, but very very thick blue stripes with very thin white stripes makes it look a bit different and a bit of a change from normal. The away strip, we're back to the yellow, a really really nice kit if we're being honest. And then the third one, which was released last week, was that's the kicker, isn't it? The real Marmite one. Some people love it, some people absolutely hate it. It's being compared to Stagecoach bus seats. It's obviously a throwback to the 90s era with that kit mixed in with a bit of the Oxford blue as well. Kieran, what do you make of 3 strips and the third kit in particular, which has caused so much controversy?
Well, personally, I'll go through in order. So the home kit, love it. I always like it, even when they mix up the kind of classic blue and white stripes. We've seen it, I think it was back in 2017 or 2016 when it was the kind of half faded kit. Love that kit. I think I'm just a little bit of a sucker for one that's slightly different than usual. But yeah, I love that one. Was very tempted to get it on launch day. I've managed to hold my money for the time being. The yellow kit, definitely, as you were saying, it's the kicker of the bunch. It's a very, very nice kit. A colour that I always kind of associate with Kilmarnock, the yellow, because it's been kind of instrumental, being part of kind of a more famous matches throughout the years. But the third kit, I quite like it, to be honest. I see what people mean about the Stagecoach seat design. Perhaps a bit of the inspiration. But no, I quite like all three of them, and I think I'm going to be like £150 down in a couple of weeks' time when I decide to get all three at once.
Yeah, to be honest, I completely agree with you. I love all three of them, in all honesty. I think it's a bit, we decided to go a bit different this year, not just go down the usual route. You know, there's different patterns, different designs, especially the away kit, the yellow one. It's not just your bog standard yellow. There's some nice designs in there to make it look a bit classier, I think is maybe the word. The home kit's a bit different as well. So I think I've done a really good job this year, to be honest. And as you say, I think a lot of people will be spending a lot of money to get those kits, which is great for the club. And hopefully the good sales, the good kit sales that we saw last year will continue. But it did provoke a sort of discussion or thoughts, and we want listeners' feedback on this as well. What's your sort of, the Killie kits over the years that stand out to you? Not the ones that are necessarily the nicest or the worst looking, the ones that sort of mean something to you, and the ones you think of when you think of kits in the past, and the ones that you have a special connection with. Personally, for me, the two yellow kits, for me, what I sort of see is the cup run kits, as you were. So the one from the 2007 season where Nazy scored that hat trick away to Falkirk in the cup semi final. I don't think we played in the yellow kit in the final against Hibs, but that away game in particular stands out. The one at Falkirk Park where he scored a hat trick in that game, and then obviously the 2012 yellow kit, which we obviously did wear in the final against Celtic. Those two are quite big ones for me. And then the one that sort of stands out is the earliest sort of memory. The earliest one that really stands out is the kit from 2005, 2006, or the series of kits from those 2 years that I just remember Chris Boyd wearing in his first spell at the club. I think that's the sort of iconic ones that I can remember. I couldn't tell you why, to be honest, but those are the ones that really sort of stand out for me. There's the one that started off quite bold, blue and white at the top, and then progressively got sort of faded at the bottom in a way, which I think was quite unique at the time and a bit strange, but it certainly stood out. And I think for me, those are the sort of three that I remember quite well. Kieran, how about you?
Well, it was I had to take notes on this earlier. When you posed the question to me, I did a little bit of digging. But I did remember it was a kit from, this is quite an old kit. It's from the 97-98 season. It was the first kit I ever got given. My dad gave it to me. And it's the white one with yellow across the kind of midriff. And it's like got the sports division logo on it, really old Killie badge. And it's just, I think about that a lot. Obviously, your first kit, you always remember your first kit. So that one was quite special to me. It kind of got me into Killie when I was obviously a bit younger. But the kind of fond memories for me, obviously I agree with you on the two yellow kits from the cup runs, but a little bit, not outside the box, but just kind of a bit more into the modern era, the 2018-2019 home kit. Of course, wore it. We were there for the final day of the season against Rangers. That kind of nice, kind of regular looking Kilmarnock blue and white kit. And I just remember the picture from after Eamon Brophy scored the penalty when Liam Miller's just all over his back. I just remember that, seeing that when the penalty went in and we got third place. So that kit definitely kind of stays in my heart, because I feel like that was probably the biggest moment we've had commentating for HBSA as well. Maybe of course getting promoted to the championships up there as well. But something about that day, getting that third place finish, especially against Rangers in the manner that we did, like having to slog all the way through the end. I'm quite sure that both goalkeepers for Killie and Rangers got subbed off because they got injured. I think, was it Jimmy McDonald that had to see it out for us? And it was just a complete carnage of a day, topped off with a very, very good penalty by Eamon Brophy, and then a very famous speech from Sir Steve Clarke as well at the very end. So that one's special up there for me. And obviously, an honourable mention to this one, the 150-year anniversary one that I wore special for this, because I knew we were going to be talking about this. Just a really nice kit.
I'll have to stop you there, Kieran. We've had some big news. The news we were expecting. Zach Hemming is back at Killie. Fantastic news. So disregard everything we said before. Zach Hemming is back. So huge news and a really big deal for Kilmarnock. Let me just have it quite good. Season-long loan, another season-long loan from Middlesbrough. So, I mean, he was fantastic in the Championship last season. hopefully he can make the step up to the Premiership this season. And fantastic news, and I think that's a real weight off the shoulders of Kilmarnock fans, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I think if we weren't recording right now, my reaction would have been a bit more exciting, but we'll keep the composure for the time being. But very, very glad to hear that. A little bit surprised that it's a loan and it's not been a permanent deal, but I will not complain. Having a very good proven shot stopper between the posts when heading into our kind of somewhat maiden voyage back into the Premiership, definitely would fill myself with confidence head into the season. Of course, I think there's still a bit more needed in the signing department. Pardon me, before that we're up there to Premiership quality. But so far, with the kind of building blocks that we've got, I feel quite confident. And after hearing Zach Hemming being re-announced just there, I was quite surprised actually to hear it so soon. I was literally talking about it before we started recording. Like, I'm not really sure that we don't miss out on it. But there he is, back at Rugby Park. I feel like it was a little bit of a weird one because people thought it was going to happen. He came back up to Kilmarnock. Why would he come back up if something wasn't really going on? But glad to have him back. So hopefully, as you said, he can make that adjustment into the Premiership.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we'll end on that positive note, a really good place to end. So fantastic to hear that Zach Hemming is back for another season, and we'll have plenty of reaction to that more fully in the next podcast, hopefully with Andrew. So thanks everyone for listening to episode 2. We'll be back probably next week or the week after with the League Cup preview, and we'll look at all the games ahead, in-depth analysis into the opposition in the 4 games, and our thoughts ahead of the tournament starting. So we'll be back. So as always, make sure to check us out on Twitter, here on YouTube, and everywhere else as well. We'll see you for the next one. Thanks to Kieran as always for joining, and we will see you next time.